very good afternoon and welcome to Africa Today. I am Peace Ogenegbawe. First, let's talk the headlines. On the headlines, INEC extends deadline for collection of voters' card. Ghana approves salary increment for public sector workers. Sudan, South Sudan to set up joint border force. And on sport, Infantino arrives Algeria for CHAN opener. Now the news in detail. Nigeria's President Muhammadu Buhari on Thursday in Abuja urged diplomats resuming duty in Nigeria to be guided by diplomatic practice and ensure that their activities remain within the limits of their profession as they monitor the build-up to the forthcoming elections. Buhari spoke at the presidential villa Abuja after receiving letters of credence from 6 ambassadors. They included Nicholas Lang of Switzerland, Annika Englund of Sweden, Peter Ryan of Ireland, Kitisak Klumchit of Thailand, Nicola Yoki of Senegal, and David Keot of South Sudan. Buhari's warning was issued 11 months after he urged the ambassadors of the Czech Republic, Italy, Spain, and Israel to steer clear of internal politics and remain within the limits of their schedules. Nicholas Lang, Switzerland's ambassador to Nigeria, who spoke on behalf of the group, promised to be guided by the laws governing Nigeria. Buhari's warning was issued 11 months after he urged other diplomats to stay clear politics.
Nigeria pays tribute to our countries for the support it has continued to enjoy in one way or the other, especially in our administrative campaign to deal with the challenges of insecurity such as kidnapping, banditry, terrorism, drugs.
The Independent National Electoral Commission, that is INEC, has extended deadline for the collection of permanent voters' cards, that is PVCs, by eligible registrants. According to a statement by the National Commissioner, Festus Okoye, the exercise, which is expected to be concluded on Sunday, January 22, 2023, has been extended by 1 week and would continue until Sunday, January 29, 2023. The Commission stated that it was encouraged by the turnout of registered voters and the surge in the number of collected PVCs across the country. INEC, which admitted allegations of extortion of prospective voters anxious to pick their PVCs, said it has commenced its investigation and vowed that those found culpable will be brought to book. Okoye equally admitted allegations of discriminatory issuance of PVCs in some locations and assured Nigerians that resident electoral commissioners, that is the RECs, have been directed to ensure that no such practices occur nationwide and take immediate disciplinary action against violators. At the moment, the period of collection is still 9 a.m. to 3 p.m. daily, including Saturdays and Sundays. The Nigerian Federal Capital Territory Administration, that is the FCTA, has bemoaned the poor turnout of students in classes for the second term of 2022-2023 academic session across schools in Kwali Area Council of Abuja. The Education Secretariat of the FCT made the observation while on routine inspection tour to both private and public schools to assess resumption compliance levels in schools. While there was substantial presence of students and pupils in day schools, both private and public institutions, boarding schools recorded very low turnout of students since the resumption of school on Monday. Some of the schools visited are in Kwali Area of the FCT, and while speaking with journalists during the tour, the Secretary, Education Secretariat, Danny Dyer El Katuzu, disclosed that on the average, about 40% of students have resumed in the area, which leaves a lot to be desired. El Katuzu said that the situation might not be unconnected to the insecurity, especially in Kwali and Abaji area councils, as sometimes resumptions are not immediate as expected. He, however, revealed that administrators of schools in Kwali were asked to use their initiatives to see that they introduce policies that will attract students to resume school immediately, so as to eschew lateness. El Katuzu said the Secretariat has a culture of going around schools in FCT at resumption and give advice to students that resumed. This is Africa Today on Hills TV. When the news returns, news from other parts of West Africa, to stay with us. Okay, 1, 2, 3, 4. Welcome back. Benin's main opposition on Thursday, January 12, has claimed vote buying and fraud allowed allies of the president to win Sunday's legislative election. Beninese Electoral Commission announced late Wednesday preliminary results of Sunday's parliamentary election. According to the commission, the main opposition, Democrats, won 28 seats, while the Republican bloc, that's the BR, and the Progressives Union for Renewal, which is the UPR parties, allied with President Patrice Talon, together won 81 seats. The leader of the Democrats Party, one of the three parties claiming to be part of the opposition, called out fraud. The president of the Democrats Party, Eric Odente, said that, and I quote, the results attributed to the twin parties could only be achieved thanks to the ploys put in place by them to distort the democratic game. These manners include massive corruption of voters, flagrant ballot box stuffing, a number of effective voters exceeding the number of registered voters, and the mismatch between the electoral list and the voters list. Final results of the 109-seat parliament are expected today after a vote that went ahead peacefully and in line with the regulations, according to election observers from the regional bloc, ECOWAS. Eric Odote's party is determined to act, and the Democrats has announced that they would appeal to the Constitutional Court. Ghana's government and organized labor have agreed to a 30% base payment increment. This was announced by Ghana's Minister of Employment and Labor Relations, Ignatius Bafor-Awa, on Thursday, January 12, 2023.
This conclusion and really the dedication of our partners and the peaceful nature in which we have ended, I think it's a credit to, once again, the sociology of our country as to how we are all committed to things going forward and to work through these hardships together. As I mentioned, this is going to take a toll on the budget, but I'm confident that with enhanced productivity and the commitments that we both have given to each other to make sure that there is peace in this country as we look at pensions issues, labor issues, I think we've come to a satisfying conclusion. And I really would like to thank all of you for your commitment to that.
We move to other parts of Africa after this timeout. To stay with us. Welcome back. This is still Africa Today on Hills TV. Somalia's President Hassan Sheikh Mahmoud has urged citizens of his country to help flush out members of Al-Shabaab group who he describes as bedbugs. Hundreds of people in the Somali capital Mogadishu attended a government-organized rally on Thursday to protest for this. The protest was organized against the Al-Qaeda-linked Al-Shabaab group amidst tight security. Al-Shabaab has been waging a bloody insurgency against the frail internationally backed central government for 15 years, carrying out attacks both in Somalia and neighboring countries which sent troops to help in the fight against the militants. Sudanese military ruler Lieutenant General Abdel Fattah al-Burhan and South Sudan's President Salva Kiir have agreed to set up a joint force to secure their two countries' 1,800 kilometers border, according to state-owned channels. The agreement was announced following talks between the two leaders in South Sudan's capital, Juba, on Thursday. The two countries' defense and foreign ministers also attended the talks. Burhan and Kiir also discussed the disputed Abyei region, calling for regular joint meetings to resolve the dispute over the territory. Kiir also briefed Burhan on the implementation of the 2018 South Sudan Peace Agreement, of which Sudan is one of the main guarantors. Ethiopia's defense forces say members of the Amhara Special Forces, allies with federal government during the two-year civil war against fighters from Tigray, have started withdrawing from Tigrayan city of Shire and its environment. This comes as Tigrayan fighters earlier in the week began handing over their weapons in line with a peace accord agreement signed in November in Pretoria to end the brutal war. Tigrayan forces have been demanding the withdrawal of forces from Amhara and neighboring Eritrea from the region. A send-off ceremony was held at the Amhara forces, attended by the Army's Deputy Chief of Staff, General Abebo Tades. A statement by the Defense Force had this. However, there is still no indication if Eritrean troops will follow. The withdrawal of Amhara fighters from Shire, one of the biggest cities in the region, is likely to please Tigrayan forces. However, disputed land in western Tigray, claimed by both regions and currently under Amhara forces, is expected to continue to be a destabilizing factor. Let's now get to business news after this time. Just stay with us. Welcome back. The World Bank Group has once again lowered its growth projection for Nigeria's economy, citing a weakened oil sector as its primary reason. This was contained in the bank's Global Economic Prospects report. According to the projection, Nigeria's economy will further decelerate to 2.9% in 2023 and is not expected to record any growth in 2024. Specifically, the lender said Nigeria's growth weakened to 3.1% in 2022 and will further decelerate to 2.9% this year. The Washington-based bank said growth momentum in the non-oil sector was likely to be restrained by continued weakness in the oil sector, which would negatively impact Nigeria's oil-based economy. The bank noted that a number of factors such as low oil output, insecurity, petrol subsidies, forex scarcity, among others, hamper growth in the country. The bank further noted that per economic growth of 2.9% in 2023 will be barely above population growth, which is often said to be around 2.5% in previous reports. The latest projection came barely 3 weeks after the bank lowered its economic projection for Nigeria's economic growth from 3.8% to 3.1%. Morocco's economic growth is expected to recover to 3.3% in 2023 after 1.3% in 2022, driven by domestic demands. This was according to the statistics agency HCP on Thursday. The forecast assumes an average crop output after the worst drought in decades, a drop in foreign demands for goods and oil prices at $90 per barrel. These figures remain subject to uncertainties emanating from the impact of geopolitical tensions as well as pandemic and climate risk. Inflation driven by imports would stand at 1.9% in 2023 from 5% in 2022. The fiscal deficit would widen to 5.2% of GDP in 2023 from 3.9% this year. On the back of low tax, higher spending subsidies, and social safety nets would also be affected. Money supply would increase by 5.1% in 2023 after 6.1% in 2022. Let's now join Aynan Lubem for sports news. Stay with us.
Good afternoon and welcome to Sports News on Africa Today. I am Aynan Lubem. Now to Sports News. Head coach of Dakada FC, Danladi Umar, has targeted a good result from the game ahead of the match day one encounter against Bayelsa United in Yenagoa on Sunday. Dakada will be the guest of the newly promoted Bayelsa United on Sunday as the match day games continue. The Uyo-based club during the preseason defeated the former Federation Cup champions 2-0, but the coach says he's not relying on past results. President of the globe's ruling body, FIFA, that is FIFA, Gianni Infantino, has arrived in Algeria ahead of the opener of the 2023 African Nations Football Championship, that is CHAN, that will host Algeria against Libya at the Nelson Mandela Stadium in Algiers today. The CHAN, Africa's second nation's flagship tournament, reserved solely for players plying their domestic trade in the championships. FIFA Supremo Gianni Infantino expressed delight after arriving in the North African nation. The 2023 CHAN in Algeria will be the first event that will see 18 teams rival for continental recognition after the number of participants was increased from 16 to 18. The CHAN, which is in its 7th edition, was lastly won by Morocco in 2021 in Cameroon. Ahead of next month's Africa Under-20 Cup of Nations, host Egypt are sweating over the threat Nigeria and Senegal pose to their chances of qualifying from the group. The young Pharaohs, drawn in Group A alongside Nigeria, Senegal and Mozambique, are aiming to lift their first continental title since 2013. In February 2022, Senegal beat Egypt on penalties at the delayed 2021 Africa Cup of Nations in Cameroon to claim their first continental title. Egypt Under-20 national team coach Mahmoud Gaber has called up 4 foreign-based players to bolster his squad ahead of the championships. Meanwhile, with less than 5 weeks to the start of the competition, 10 players invited from the Nigeria professional football leagues to the Flying Eagles are yet to report to camp. The top 2 teams in each of the 3 groups would qualify for the quarterfinals alongside 2 other best losers. The 4 semi-finalists automatically qualify for the Under-20 World Cup in Indonesia in May. The 2023 Under-20 AFCON tournament will be played in Egypt between February 19 and March 11, with the top 4 teams qualifying for the Under-20 World Cup in Indonesia in May. And that's your sports news on Africa Today. Back to Peace Ogenebawi for the rest of the news.
Welcome back. 8 high school students who were expelled for insulting Ghanaian President Nana Akufo-Addo in a viral video have apologized and asked to be allowed back to school.
Please, they've sacked us from the school. We are on our way to the house. Please help us. It is my brothers and sisters that are taking care of me. This is my future. I don't know what to do again. This is our future. Please forgive us. When you we are really sorry. General Science 2A, we were the people that did the video insulting Nana Akufo-Addo, our president, from China Senior High School, and we are here to beg. They call us today for a meeting.
The former students of China Senior High School in the Upper East region were initially suspended before being expelled on Thursday by the Ghana Education Service. Recent updates revealed that they have been readmitted after the apology. And that's Africa Today, but before we go, here are the headlines again. We told you that INEC has extended deadline for collection of voters' card. Ghana has approved salary increments for public sector workers. South Sudan and Sudan is to set up joint border force. And on sport, Infantino has arrived Algeria for CHAN opener. Remember to visit us on Facebook at Hills TV.